hopefully we'll have a pullback. Do you see that coming in the future? And guys, I've got Stacey's number on that. She's a broker for Andy, and take a screenshot of that and at least get the price list. It's a better price than what you get on the website, and that would be prudent to just get a price list and shop around. Okay, so that's why the numbers on the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. Stacey's amazing. We're honored to have her be part of our company. She's an amazing lady. I don't have to tell you that. Look, there's the new abridged version of The Little Boy Who Cries Wolf, and I'm on it. I'm on the cover waving. Are we getting to the last chapter where the wolf comes? It seems things are spinning much, much faster. When you talk about will there be a pullback, I mean, there always has been. Nothing goes straight up. The pullbacks have been very shallow over the last year, where things back in the day, Chris, when there would be a pullback, whatever was causing the pullback would step on the neck of gold and then step on it again. And it would not just pull back, it would disappear. What we see now is a different situation. I think there are sophisticated countries that are coordinated, that are sophisticated, that are motivated, that are wealthy, and understand the way to win this battle is not by firing hypersonic missiles at the United States. It's to take advantage of the loopholes that the West has put into place that were never taken advantage of. And in particular on the exchanges, if we look at the London Bullion Metals Association, it's a 140-year-old exchange, the oldest metals exchange on the planet. Just in the month of August, we saw 8.1% of all their silver delivered off the exchange. Where'd it go? Who's got that kind of money to buy 26 million ounces of silver? When you look at the way they trade in London, they admit to trading 20 million ounces of gold per day and 290 million ounces of silver per day. Now they have 800 million ounces of silver in the LBMA vaults, of which they say 500 or more million belong to the ETFs. So that leaves 300 million ounces, right? But they're trading basically the entire stash every day. But they say, by the way, guys, we are understating those settlement numbers, or those numbers, by about 10 times, because we only post the final settlement numbers, not all the trades that it took to get there. Well, if that's the case, that means they're trading 2.9 billion ounces of silver per day, of which 90+% is all paper backed by nothing but paper, which is 3.5 times annual global mine supply. You look at the COMEX market, they're trading 15, 16, 1700% more paper than they have bars behind it. Now, that's the same thing the Hunt brothers noticed in 1980. But it's real. The rehypothecation, meaning if I have a contract for 5 1,000-ounce silver bars and you have a contract for 5 1,000-ounce silver bars, there's a high probability, well, there is a probability that we both own the same contract thinking that we own our own. It's rehypothecated over and over and over. It's Bernie Madoff. It's Bernie Madoff running a great shop until everyone said, give us our money. Oh, you're not running a great shop. You are running a Ponzi scheme. And in many ways, that's what the Western system is. You see, you go back 140 years, or even go back to the COMEX, started in 1974. Most of the countries in the global South, Chris, were third world-ish. They weren't motivated. They weren't sophisticated. They weren't coordinated. They weren't wealthy. Think of the bricks and the coordination and the motivation and the sophistication. And one of the things that you can do on these exchanges is stand for delivery. Now, most of my career, no one stood for delivery on either exchange. It's maybe 1% of the contracts issued stood for delivery. Now we're seeing massive amounts standing for delivery. And so it's one of these deals where currently you have 8 commercial banks, 8, that hold the largest concentrated short position in the history of any commodity ever traded on COMEX in silver. Now, what the hell is that for? It's as dumb as a mud wall in a rainstorm. And it's all paper. So how do you win in an environment like this? See, the recency bias and the normalcy bias that these guys had got them in this jam. And now they're so deep in short positions, paper contracts, they're stuck. And India and China and Russia and Saudi, they're all just standing for delivery, draining the exchanges. That's going to present a problem, because you can only manipulate a market for an extended period of time by pushing it in the direction it's going. And it is now going the other way, as we have squandered much of the good graces that are foreign investors and creditors have bestowed upon us. And the trust that we have in many cases is gone by weaponizing the dollar, by confiscating and stealing $5 billion in Russian assets and using it to buy weapons to give to the Ukraine, a country they're in a war against. You can't do that. And we did. And that's a big problem. We're the world reserve currency. It's supposed to be neutral. For us to make these decisions when we've given $200 billion to the Ukraine with no congressional oversight, Stinger missiles and F-16 jets, but that doesn't count because we're the world reserve currency. So that doesn't stack up real well with much of the world. So the trust is gone. And when you talk about the full faith and credit of this country, I think people around the globe, big money around the globe, central banks who have bought more gold, for example, in the first 6 months of this year than in any time in history, only bettering the first 6 months of last year. They're doubling down. And, when you look at the stuff that's been going on, it's not lost on the rest of the world. The wokeness, the lawlessness, the questioning of the judicial and the electoral system, all of that stuff is not lost on the rest of the world. And not to mention, everyone talks about a $35 trillion debt. Well, how about the nearly $200 trillion in unfunded liabilities, Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security? Those three alone are nearly $160 trillion in the hole. And a trillion seconds ago was 31,688 years ago. You don't pay it back. So the credit's gone, and as is the faith, with all of the things that when you and I were kids, you said, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. And we probably both still do. You held a door for a lady. You knew what a lady was. You knew what a boy was. You were valued by your merit. Look at how in shape you are. Well, that took dedication and work and effort, but that doesn't matter in today's world. What's your lifestyle? Instead, it doesn't matter your merit. It doesn't matter your hard work. It's not about equal opportunity as it should be. It's about equality. That's what they all want. Equality for all. Well, that's socialism. And so what I'm getting at is that, do I think there'll be a pullback? Sure, but I don't think it will last very long, because every time the West is stupid enough to knock down the price with paper that's not backed by anything, the rest of the world says, thank you very much. I will stand for delivery. And now you have China, who is the second, if not the first largest producer of silver in the world. If they were more open, we'd probably think they're the first. But by what they tell us, they're the second largest producer of silver in the world. They're flying all around Latin America and buying doré bars, which are unrefined or crudely refined bars that the miners crudely refine and then send to the refiners to make 999 pure and concentrate the sludge, the byproduct of what they do. And they're sending it all the way back to China to have it refined, because it's one of these deals where it's about who's got the commodities. And that's the world we're heading into. So anytime we're foolish enough to knock it down on paper, and the reason they're not all bitching yet is because they're buying, and they're using, like jiu-jitsu, you use the leverage of your opponent against you. They're using it against us, standing for delivery. That's why waiting for a pullback is foolish, but buying on the pullbacks isn't. But waiting for it, you may be waiting for a long time.